All right, so thank you very much for participating in those discussions. It was, to me, just eavesdropping from about 5 feet away. It was pretty stunning to see the level of interaction and ideas flowing, see the pages being turned very fast. So the risk that we face is we hope we've captured every idea out there. Obviously, we're going to transcribe this, reflect it back to you, mirror it, very much like the process that Al went through with Riverside 2.0. We will create this for you, Utility 2.0, make sure that what we have here is what you said today. With that, we are actually doing great on time. At this point, we'd like to go around the room to board and council members, and each of you, if you would give us a plus, which is what you thought went well in the meeting, or if you thought we achieved these meeting goals. Alignment of council and RPU goals, communication of our status, challenges, and opportunities for RPU, the board and council roles and responsibilities, and action plan. So, did we achieve our goals? And then the delta is, what would you change going into the future? So with that, when we start with our board member, Darrell Lamont.
I thought this was outstanding. I sat here in awe of some of the comments, and I really appreciate them. I'm looking forward to helping implement them. And so I give this an A+++ as a get-together, and I certainly hope they continue.
And a delta?
Anything we should do different next time we meet?
I really can't think of anything I would do different. I think there were so many ideas flowing so fast. I don't know about I know our team. It was flowing so fast that I don't see how, I wouldn't have anything to improve on it. It was just going very fast.
Okay. Councilman Bass, go around that.
Well, first, I'm sure everybody agrees the gold team was the best team.
Did you say the old team or?
The old team, very good, apropos, there you go.
You must not have heard my introductory comments.
Nice
We're better together.
I think we did meet the goals that you have set out. And then when this comes back in a finalized form where we can review both sides, both teams' input and see how they cross over and intersect. And just the one comment that we made, probably the other team made as well, was that Utility 2.0 is the starting point. That's, 3.0 is going to be here before we get home this afternoon. And we need to be working towards that. But I think when this is a great exercise. It should be repeated more than once a year. And it's an awesome event. So glad to be here at the close of night where then on the best game.
As far as, even though I'm a board member representing Ward 7, I'm going to have to disagree with you that the blue team is the better team.
As long as we're
He's wearing it.
And I agree with both the gentlemen before that this was an outstanding meeting. We were able to have a lot of ideas fly back and forth, and like Darrell was saying, is that just it was coming fast and furious as far as what we were talking about. I'm looking forward to doing more meetings as far as so where we kind of stay in tune with each other. A couple of the things that we talked about as far as having more meetings on maybe a quarterly basis or something like that, as far as so we stay up to date with each other. As far as the Delta, right now I couldn't say that I would have one because everything right now is new and raw. But maybe next time probably have a Delta.
All right, my turn.
surprised coming in today. I wasn't sure what to expect. It went better than expected, and it was probably the same with the other group. Al was having to write pretty fast and use some pretty fancy abbreviations just to keep up with the ideas that were coming, but he captured all of it. So I think it's a good start, and we have to start going down this road so we don't fall further behind. We need to be the example for others to follow as opposed to us going looking at someone else. As far as a negative, I don't have a negative. I think, again, this one went surprisingly well, and it may take a meeting or two to get to the point to say, I think we need to adjust here or there. So I'm glad we met and look forward to the next one.
So I will just, I think, echo some of those sentiments, but I think that in regards to beyond even the idea-driven, I think it was very question-based. And I think the fact that we both collectively came with questions and how, and going back to Mayor's statements, how do we do it together? And so I think coming with the posture of what questions do we need to ask to move us to that place, I think was a helpful posture that we all brought to the table that I think gave us new goals.
Very good. I will use a few puns. This is a very fluid process. We are merely the conduits for our constituents. I don't see any negatives. I would like to see involvement from, and I don't know how we do this, but I would like to see the deans of our business and engineering schools participating, because they're going to be on the cutting edge of a lot of the new technology that's out there. I know with my working with Anthony Donaldson and also John Thomas, I mean, they're way out there in what they're looking at. I suggested every 6 months, but then Councilmember Super said every quarter, so I'm all for that. So but I do think that I think the RUSD should somehow be involved as well. I think we should throw a challenge out for them to look at their look at their water use as well and electrical use and see what they're doing, and get their students involved in the process.
I think it's what was mentioned, this kind of been an idea meeting, and the next follow-up would be to sit and see what we talked about, align those between the two groups and come up with some action plans, and then we can probably evaluate whether, how they're doing. I think we mentioned in our group as well, it's not just RPU, although we're significant because of the money involved, but we need to involve all the boards and commission and maybe some kind of a joint task force or something, so we're all aligned and heading in the same direction.
Yes. Yeah.
Well done.
Yes.
All right. I thought you were gonna let those guys get caught up because they're both riding really fast. Yeah, I thought today was a super plus. Was very much looking forward to it. I very much enjoyed it. I think we had a great dialogue. My issues where I had questions, concerns, and I wanted to have better understanding and get rid of some of the misunderstandings. And I know that this wasn't the meeting to address all those concerns or to get some of the questions answered, but we've enumerated where we need to go or what questions we have or possibly some ways to get there. I really think the quarterly meetings would be great, at least up until the point where we can throttle back and we're on a, I don't want to say a stride, that would be good for all of us. You know, that we say, okay, we don't need to meet quarterly anymore, we're kind of on the same page. The only negative I would say, and I see that we have some good public input, both of them, or more, 3 or 4. Not necessarily that, you know, I mean, if we had to meet down in the council chambers, fine, but part of that strategic plan and putting out that customer service is kind of throwing out that thing out there that, you know, heralding that, hey, we're going to meet with the council and the RPU board, something real big. It's not happened since 1956 or whatever it might have been, and kind of make it a bigger deal to get our customer input or our resident input. And even if 5 people still show up, we gave them the opportunity. Not that we kept it quiet, but we didn't, I don't think we went on an advertising thing. And that helps generate the energy for what we're trying to do that we wrote out there. Thank you. Thank you, staff, and all the work you did, and board for being here.
My plus takeaway on this was that a realization the city council and the board are much more in alignment than not. I witnessed way more similarities than dissimilarities in our conversation, which in my opinion gives me confidence that we're moving forward in the right direction together with this utility 2.0. That really made me feel good that you know, even though there's been kind of some noise in the background on it, but we really are all moving generally in the same direction. I have absolutely no doubt with Kevin, so it was great. Thanks for staff, thanks for city council, for all of this. It was very helpful for me, and I'm sure the rest of the board members.
I thought it was a great meeting. Two things that I really appreciated. One was just the exchange of ideas and the way we kind of taught each other things. But the other was a chance to get to know some of the utility board members who I don't know a little bit. Council members get together every week and have meetings, and we know each other relatively well. I know some of the board members pretty well, others of you I don't know very well. So there was a real value for me just in the getting to know and understand some of the board members and how you think and what you're concerned about. As sort of a takeaway or a delta, it was mentioned a little bit about the publicity side. There was not a lot of pre-publicity. I think maybe some post-publicity. We had this meeting, here's what came out of it.
Very good.
This is where we're going from here, we're gonna do it again, those kinds of things. I think that'll be helpful, and I think that will start to get people in the public to pay attention to what we're doing.
Well, I was very excited to be here. As you guys know, I'm a very excited board member. I love being on this board, and I'm very sad when I'm kind of rotating off. And this was probably one of the top experiences of my time on the board, so I really appreciate everyone being here, being available, and having these what I thought were incredibly productive conversations. I think we did meet the meeting goals. I found, like Andrew, that we are very well aligned in identifying our interests and opportunities for this customer-owned utility, especially the vision for that customer-centered and controlled and customer-controlled utility experience. We've heard a lot of talk, at least in our group, about how we can make that meaningful and what actions we can take to actually get that across the goal line. And I think further conversations is a great idea. Delta's really, it's more a question for next time, or next with whatever we get to this again. I think it'd be great to have a focused discussion about the mission, vision, goals, objectives of the utilities. I know the utility board continues to work very hard on making sure that we know where we're going as well as where we are and who we are, and I think we'd be very excited to have that conversation with the council. Also, action plans, as I mentioned before, and also I really like the idea of communicating and interacting, developing an interactive mode with public and with stakeholders. And one idea that came up with maybe a blue ribbon commission or something like that to pull more stakeholders in and get their ideas. Fantastic ideas.
I think a lot of what I talked about, really this is about the first time I've been able to communicate in my 6 years with really any of them, including my own appointee, Dave Austin, who was at the same table, about the communication. In that we were able to anticipate needs, which creates some real positive change, in effect change for our future. And we've not had that. I think that now that we are seeing the change in the attitudes from the council and approach to communications with our board commission members, certainly with the general public, and that'll be very important. The engagement and how we learn from each other and how we're able to place that idealism, what we put on the boards, into practice. And it's really for the future of our utility and certainly for the future of our ratepayers, and I think that's important. So that was what my takeaway from all of this. I think some folks mentioned it as far as the delta on this. You have to take time to digest it and see, hey, we forgot about this. So in time, maybe next meeting or even sooner, you might have some feedback, whether it be indifferent or otherwise, that we can bring to you and say, hey, what about this, and can we make a change or an adjustment, or we need to focus more in this area, as Mr. Scott Cole had just mentioned, because I think that's really important.
I appreciated the opportunity to spend time with my new best friends on the gold team. I think having dialogue increases, number one, our confidence in one another, and an understanding that in fact we agree on more than we disagree on, and that it helps us to set the course that we need to follow. And so I think this was a wonderful first step. I was so excited about coming today. And it has fulfilled all of my wishes for achievement. I think on the converse side, and I'm always a very concrete person, is that I would like us to be able to move to the point where when we meet together, we have a very defined goal of what we want to discuss, and that in fact we have a deliverable at the end, so that we have something that we can actually move forward and take action on. So that would be my other, but that's, you have to do this first, and you have to be confident in one another, and certainly that is an outcome of today's meeting.
I think we hit all the goals, and especially I think we hit the communicating the status and the challenges and the opportunities that are here. Not only board members, but council members express some of the same things that are out there that we've been talking about. Again, back to what Andrew first said, we're kind of all on the same page, we're all thinking the same way. And that made me feel really good that as a board member, the communication is going on. Maybe some barbecue chips and some diet soda.
There you go. Right there. He's right. If you want pizza, put it on there.
Make sure put Dave's name after that.
They'll pay for it, but it's.
He also needs a new chainsaw.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I have one for sale.
That's public utilities. Hardly been used. I mean, that's public works.
You know, I guess the bad thing about being one of the last ones is that it seems like everything's been said.
Oh, yeah.
Now I know what Ward 7 feels like. Sorry, Steve.
Wait a minute, you guys are both on the goal team.
I guess one of the positive things about being one of the last ones is that you can summarize what everybody has said. But I think that, you know, this is a great start. It really is a very positive start. I think we touched on each one of those goals, and you know, in touching on each one of those goals, it really created a lot more questions. I think from that, everybody wanted a better understanding of what we could do. Just build that foundation and move forward from that. Have a deeper understanding of what's out there, so that we can try incorporating those things into RPU and, you know, our city. Also, one of the things, broader community involvement, something that we thought was essential. Increase innovative thinking outside the box. You know, what else is out there that we can, that we can incorporate into what we have, you know, existing. And one of the main things that came out of the meetings was I felt it was communication and engagement is essential at all levels, and we need to have that if we're going to be successful in meeting our goals. Susan? No chips, no chips.
Well, thank you all for.
Susan?
No.
We're waiting for the last word from the mayor.
Thank you all for committing your time today, for coming and participating, more than participating, right? Really thinking critically and honestly about the way forward. I think you all agree and have mentioned that relationships matter. And that's what we did here. We've developed and we will continue to develop relationships amongst each other. I think that is a summary of today's goals and what occurred today. I think we have a plus in alignment, a plus in communication, a plus in action. And in just looking over the mission statement of the public utilities, to remind us, we are committed to the highest quality water and electric services at the lowest possible rates to benefit the community. I think you see that commitment around the table and in the chairs behind us with staff. And I think you see the benefit that it will bring to our city in the long run. So thank you for both of those things, your commitment to the public utility towards benefiting the entire city in generations, right, of this city. And with that, I would add that the Delta, next time, you need to bring some rain to the meeting.
I left it in Sacramento.
Okay.
Headed this way.
Why? We don't get any.
And you know me, I always like a tour. So it would be good to have a meeting maybe on site of an asset, or take a tour of one of our assets in terms of electric or water facilities out across the city. And with that, meeting's adjourned.
Meeting's adjourned, but I do have a request. I would like to have a photograph of the board and city council